Okay, so I have everything nicely cleaned, nicely vacuumed, and I'm getting ready for grout. But here, of course, are some rules to follow. So before you do your grout, of course, first thing is to clean everything nicely, ensure that there's any thin set on the surface of the tile or in the grout joints. And then, of course, once it's ready, we can move forward with the grouting. And here we have two options regarding grout. I mean, we can choose sanded grout and unsanded grout, right? And generally, unsanded grout can be used for the grout joints up to 1/8 of an inch. This is what manufacturers recommend, to not pass 1/8 of an inch grout space, and anything bigger than 1/8 of an inch will be sanded grout that has a small mixture of sand. So we have choices between sanded and unsanded. A little bit more about unsanded grout. Unsanded grout, like I already mentioned, will be great for small grout joints because it will nicely penetrate those spaces. Sanded, because of the sand, will not go through tiny bitty grout spaces, right? So this is one of the reasons why we have unsanded grout. Also, unsanded grout will be recommended for surfaces that has high polished finish, especially when it comes to stone, because sanded grout often will scratch the surface depending on the way you're applying it. But if this is, for example, marble floor, highly polished, you will ruin the surface with the sanded grout. So keep that in mind. To not use sanded grout if you have a high polished stone. If it's travertine like this, is not polished, you should be fine with the sanded grout if you have a larger gaps. But generally speaking, sanded grout is the only type of grout that can be used for polished surfaces. And when doing marble, for example, polished marble, it's recommended to keep small grout spaces, because otherwise you will have to use sanded grout, and in that being said, you will ruin the surface, the polished surface. So yeah, so sanded and unsanded grout, those are two types of grout available. And another thing, important thing, in my opinion, sanded grout, 1/8 of an inch grout joint is, in my opinion, too big for unsanded grout. This is what I noticed during my projects. Each time we've been grouting 1/8 of an inch gaps with unsanded grout, the grout has a tendency to crack because there's too much of the space, and when the unsanded grout dries, it often cracks randomly and is no good. So in my opinion, as a person that do this type of work for a living every day, I would use unsanded grout up to 1/16 of an inch grout space, no bigger. For anything bigger than 1/16 of an inch, 1/8, I would use sanded grout simply to avoid issues with the grout. You don't want the grout to be cracking. And of course there are different manufacturers of the grout. There are some new grouts, some grouts that are more like rubber. I'm not familiar with all of those because there's many different manufacturers and products. I'm sticking to the brand that I use the most, that I've been using for many years, from Custom Building Products, and this is what I usually will use. So in this case we have an accent, and the grout spaces vary on this mosaic. They around 1/8 of an inch. Also over there, same situation. We have about 1/16 of an inch grout joints here. They vary, they slightly vary but majority is 1/16 of an inch spaces. Some will be slightly smaller, some will be slightly bigger because of the variation of the size in this particular stone. But for the walls I will use unsanded grout, because this is the way to go for such space. And for the accent and for the shower floor I'm going to use sanded grout, same color but sanded. Here on this 2x2 tumbled stone that came on a mesh, we have 1/8 of an inch grout spaces all over the joints, all over the floor, and I will use sanded grout. Sanded grout is also more durable, keep that in mind. Sanded grout will be the most durable type of grout. Unsanded is a little bit less durable, but this is why we adding some additional components, mixing with the grout to make it stronger, and I'll talk to you about it in a few seconds. But here, the way I will approach this particular job, I'm going to start from unsanded grout. So I'm going to grout the top wall with unsanded grout. I'm going to skip the glass mosaic. I'm going to grout all the walls, and of course baseboards, because I'm going to grout shower first before I will focus on the main floor. So I'm going to grout entire shower to a certain point, finishing somewhere here, maybe a little bit of the floor around the shower, and of course all those sections. And I will leave accent, niche and the shower floor not grouted. Once I will be finished with the unsanded grout, then I'm gonna start with sanded grout for the accent and for the niche. This is the way you should do it. Don't do sanded first and then play with unsanded in such cases. The correct way will be to do unsanded first and then do sanded grout if you would like to combine those products. So this is pretty much the directions that I will be following for this particular application. And on the main floor, once we have shower completely done, everything nicely grouted, I'm gonna grout main floor with the unsanded grout as well. Lots of grouting here, but it should go pretty smooth because we have large tiles. And when we're talking about the grout, another important thing will be maintenance, of course. Grout requires sealer, and this is something that I will talk to you about a little bit later, but less grout than better. Remember, problems usually starts with the grout. So this is why more and more homeowners going with larger format tiles like this versus smaller mosaics to make maintenance easier and to look for the project to look cleaner for the installation. On the shower floor we have to do mosaics because floor has a slope, has a pitch. So 2x2 is ideal, 1x1 will be alright, 4x4 will be the largest that I would use. I would never use anything bigger than 4x4 because we will end up with a lippage. Corners being sticking out higher or lower and eventually water sitting over there. The goal is to nicely follow the shape of uneven floor because this floor is uneven, it has a pitch to the drain, and without any sections being lower or higher in a tile. So this is it. Let me get ready for the grout and I'll show you products that I'm using and how I'm mixing it. One more thing I forgot to mention. As you can see, I have drain taped to ensure that there will be no grout getting to the drain. And I also taped our valves. There are some little grooves that cannot really get dirty, threads. So I'm taping always those as well. And this is it. When grouting, whatever unsanded grout will end up on the floor, I'm gonna wipe it off right away, and we don't want any grout dry on you. If you're grouting walls, something gets on the floor, wipe it off right away, or just grout this section of the floor, because once it will kind of starts drying on the floor, then you have a problem to remove it. Then a little bit stays in a grout joint, and then you think this is grouted, but it's not grouted. It's just top section of the grout joint is filled. Grout will not get all the way through the grout joint if you will not put pressure on it, right? So it might cause some grout issues if you will leave the grout to dry on the floor. There's many rules, many tricks that you have to perform in order to have everything durable, right? So a lot of work. We almost there, but still not done yet. So, all right, let's go outside. What we've got here for the grouting, we have gloves, we have the grout float, of course. This is bag of sanded grout, and this is box of unsanded grout. The grout that I'm using, we have poly blend. This is from Custom Building Products, and for ivory travertine, buttercream is ideal color. It blends almost perfect. Buttercream, no antique white, no linen or something like that. Buttercream is the most matching color to ivory travertine. So just so you know. So I have box of unsanded and bag of sanded grout, and when I'll be mixing, generally you can mix it with just water, right? This is what it says on the box. But Custom Building Products came out with a really nice addition to the grout, which is called stain blocker. And if you apply stain blocker to your grout when mixing, you will not have to seal the grout. This is perfect solution if you're working with a porcelain. For the travertine, we still have to seal travertine. So I'm gonna again apply sealer additionally on top of the grout. So this is addition that I'm putting to the grout on my jobs, and makes the grout stronger, easier in maintenance, and stain resistant. Consider that this is another expense. This is about 10-15 bucks, and bigger bottle that I have in the bucket, it's about 25-30 bucks or something. I'm not sure, maybe more. I didn't check the pricing, but anyway, buckets, of course, one for the water and one for the for mixing grout. And for grout, I recommend white bucket. For water, it doesn't really matter. Why I'm recommending white bucket? Because when you're mixing with a mixer, often you will remove some plastic from the surface of the bucket. If it's orange, if it's black, it will show when you're grouting. Probably many contractors already been experiencing this. So I like to have a white bucket. So if there will be some little bit of the plastic from the surface of the bucket from mixing that got to the grout, it's not going to stand out, it's going to blend. Of course, I will remove it if I will notice something, but later, for example, when it's too late, white one will nicely hopefully blend. So I like to use the white buckets only when grouting. If I don't have it, of course, I use the different one, but in this case I was able to get white, nice one bucket. Alright, so grouts are here. This is our mixer. This is heavy duty mixer. Don't mix grout with your hand or with the stick. Of course you can try, but grout requires good mixing. You cannot just mix it whatever. You have to mix it for at least a minute or two with such device, with a mixer. With a stick, it might take you way longer to reach the desired consistency and to mix all the products that are in a grout. Of course, sponge, also recommended to wash it off. So yeah, slowly getting ready. Like I said, we are in North Atlanta Country Club in Statham, Georgia, close to Athens. So really nice neighborhood, really nice January weather today, pretty warm. So yeah, let's start mixing. Alright, so let's mix something. I have my small bottle of stain blocker, and this one is designed for one box, 10 pounds of, actually this is 5 pounds, no, 5 kilograms. Yeah, 10 pounds, this is 10 pounds. So one small bottle of the stain blocker, you have to pour to the bucket with 10 pounds of unsanded grout. And this is what I'm gonna do. I'm putting the formula, looks like milk, to the bucket, and I'm gonna put, I would say everything. We have quite a bit of grouting, or maybe no. Yeah, if you put a little bit more stain blocker than you're supposed to, then it's not gonna hurt. So I'm gonna put almost everything here. Alright. We got an unsanded grout, and the remaining we're gonna use just water. Not too much. As for unsanded grout, we don't need too much of the water. Okay, a little bit more. It's good to leave yourself a little bit of the grout, because if you put too much water, you can always add grout. Right? It's common that you will add too much water and then you don't have any more grout. What to do? And remember, grout cannot be too liquid because it loses the parameters. You see, you won't be able to mix it like that with a stick or with a grout float. Alright, so this is pretty good consistency for the unsanded grout, as you can see. Trying to show you. Right now I'm gonna leave it like that for a couple of minutes. Then I'm gonna mix it again, and I'm gonna start grouting. Oh, okay. Widać takie graudownice? I'm packing as much as I can to the corner, and of course I'm starting from the top section, working my way down in such case. So I don't have to have a step ladder anymore, so I'm going to do top part, and then we'll do entire top part all the way around the shower, and later move to lower section above under the accent. It's pretty tricky here. I'm standing on the step ladder, not really the way I'm supposed to, because you cannot step that part, but anyway, packing nicely grout to all the small holes, all the tiny spaces. You can help yourself, of course, with the finger. There's nothing wrong with that. Some contractors use only hands to grout. So I'm gonna go all the way to this corner. To the ceiling, I'm not never grouting to the ceiling. In such cases, when we have tile work going to the ceiling, I'm putting caulking, matching color or just white, depending. It can be later painted. And the reason for that, there will be movement. The gap between drywall and tile, depending on the temperatures, is changing. So grout will be cracking over there, for sure. And okay, so packing as much as I can. Alright, so I have this grouted, this grouted, this grouted. Already did this part. This has been already grouted and washed. So the next step will be for me to grab bucket with water. I have, of course, over here. So pretty much wet sponge and nice circular moves. First of all, to spread the grout evenly to remove any grout that's remaining. Important thing will be to not wash out the grout from the grout jet. So we want to most of the times do 45-degree angle wash to the grout jet. I'm going to show you just a few things here because I already have a video, like I said, where I'm explaining how to grout. And I'm referring you to this video over there, since the process is pretty much same. Nothing changes. The only difference on the other video, I have sanded grout that I'm working with. In this case we have unsanded. So first thing is to nicely wash it off with a, like I said, mostly circular moves. You don't want grout to dry on you, because if it happens you will need to use acid. Don't let grout sit longer than 5 minutes on the surface. Some grouts, there's a grout bostic, it's supposed to be durable, but I'm not sure about it. This particular grout, you have to wash it right away with the hot water. So you have to grout small sections at the time. So be careful if you will come across this grout. It's not just standard application. Read the label. Of course there are epoxy grouts, some other grouts. Those are mainly commercial, very limited colors. But we can use just normal grout with a stain blocker. If you do it right, you'll be fine. Alright, so we have a Bob Humphrey from First Glass Inc. measuring for the glass. And this is the company that I've been using for last almost 8 years. Bob, what do you think?
Perfect like always.
This is what I want to hear.
Yeah.
So this is our flat wall that I've been showing you how to do. And the glass door pretty much will go all the way to the height of the shower head or somewhere in this range. But it's going to be about a week before we can have the door in place, because this is how long it usually takes. And this is going to be pretty decent shower enclosure. So I'll show you some final pictures once this part is done. I'm continuing grouting and working on the niche right now. one another thing that I would like to mention about the grout, when you're working with a natural stone, and especially lighter colors, do not use any dark colors of the grout. What might happen, and most likely what will happen, the pigment in the grout, darker grouts, might discolorate the stone. Because stone is porous, and it happened before, when darker grout been applied, it discolorated stone to the point where there was no way out. I had customers that been asking me, Michael, can we do black grout or can we do dark brown grout? And the reason was, so if it gets dirty, so they don't have to clean it, so dirt blends in with the color of the grout. This is not really too smart, I understand the point, but you have to clean the shower. If you will do shower in the colors of the dirt, I mean, means like you probably will never even clean it because it will look always same. So don't think that way, think differently. How to make it nice and durable so you can have beautiful work and still easy maintenance, and you cannot really forget about cleaning the shower. This is part of the long-lasting job, is to keep everything nice and clean. Yeah, so if you're considering using darker colors of the grout on the lighter stones, don't do that. Also, when it comes to setting materials, do not use gray thin set on light color travertine, because it also might discolorate stone from underneath. So this is just a few things that I would like to mention additionally on top of what I already told you. And I'll keep grouting right now. I'm focusing mainly on the grout joints. Those are our pencil pieces. Here, there's a lot of small, tiny, bitty holes in those pencil pieces. And the accent will be soon, so the accent and main floor, I'm going to do it at the same time. Whatever will fall from the grouting of the accent to the floor, I will use it to grout the floor. But remember, each project is different, and sometimes you have to adjust everything to the specific job that you're working on. I'm giving you a scenario to identical work or the scope of work that we did here. Glass tiles, travertine, lighter colors. Different accent tiles and different tiles might require a little bit different type of work and different attention. So please keep that in mind. Hopefully I'm covering most of the questions that you might have during such project. Okay, so now I'm going to wash it off this section, and once again, water, sponge is what you want to get ready. And pretty much, once again, circular moves. Where we can do it, here we have to do horizontal, of course, against the pencil pieces. Now on the large pieces we make the circles, round and round circles, and once we have first section pretty much wiped off, then to have everything clean, I'm washing off the sponge. Only one move with the side of the sponge, then wash it off again, and 45-degree angle, removing additional haze. As you can see, this is here is already cleaned, and I'm gonna leave it like that. Right. All right, so another day on the job. I grouted everything that I could yesterday with the unsanded grout. Today we will continue with the sanded grout. We have accent to grout, we have niche, and we have main floor. And like I said, in my opinion, for 1/8 of an inch, sanded grout is what you want to do. Here, right now, you can see how nicely the grout color that I selected blends with the tile. This is buttercream, the color is ivory, and it blends really well. If not the color variation of the tile, at some point you could hardly see difference. Right, so it turned out really good. I already did caulking to the ceiling, so this part been done as well. And yeah, so I'm gonna move forward with the accent, move forward with the floor, and later today I will also grout main floor. This one will be unsanded. Alright, so we at the stage where I already grouted top part of the accent, and I want you to see how it looks like grouted and how it looks like not grouted. Huge difference. Grout really helps a lot with the way everything looks, to expose all the nice details. And also on the niche, the top part I just finished, and look at the bottom part. Completely different product, I would say. One more tip, when working with the glass mosaic pieces, it's lighter color tiles or tiles that has some transparency in them, it's very important to use lighter color grout. Because if you will use darker, all the lighter pieces, like the glass tiles, they will turn on the sides dark. So it's important each time we're mixing some lighter stone with some glass pieces to make them look bright the way they should look, is to use lighter color grouts. In this case we have light color, which works really nice, as you can tell. And this is how it's turning out, really neat. So I'm moving forward with the application. I did this part, so all the grout fells over here, then I'm grouting niche, then I'm gonna clean this grout and just move forward with the floor. So this is how it looks. It's gonna be really cool. Alright, so I'm working on the other side of the accent now, and this is pretty, tricky part, because you don't want to make everything messy. So I'm pretty much applying grout, nicely filling the space. And small mosaic tiles takes a lot of grout. If you have a shower that you did with the mosaics, or you have a lot of accents, please make sure that you have enough grout on hand. Right, because it takes a lot of grout to grout small tiles. Okay. And whatever will fall on the floor, it's going to be pretty wet, it will not have time to dry. Because accent, it's pretty straightforward. It's not really that time consuming, it's just tricky. So right after I'm done with the accent, I will move to shower floor with exactly same grout. And once again, this is sanded grout that we're using now for spaces about 1/8 of an inch or bigger, only unsanded grout. Because you will have issues with non-sanded. Making sure all the tiny gaps are filled. So now I'm going to grab bucket with water. Pretty much same scenario as we did with the larger pieces. Kind of circular moves, trying to stay in a certain angle. Of course, there's sometimes so much we can do. I'm removing a lot of this grout that got stuck where our accent tile meets pencil piece. Because this is tricky corner and we want to make sure to not leave too much of the grout, right? The goal is to leave just enough to fill the space, but you don't want grout to be left, because only nice clean grout work will make project look outstanding. If you do the bad grout work, you will ruin everything. And let me show you what most of the times you will experience. What contractor will do when grouting, he has just the sponge, so he will kind of wash it off the corner, and then we'll do something like this, pretty much leaving whatever sponge wasn't able to catch. It's usually left in the corners and transitions like that. And then you can see a lot of grout being left in the corners often, because this is how the sponge will go, pretty much, leaving a lot of grout in the corners. And what I like to do is to grab a piece of squared edge and actually remove that gently any grout in this transition, to make sure that the grout doesn't cover our accent tile, that the corner is nice and clean, 90-degree corner, and also ensuring that I still have grout that fills the gap, right? Because we don't want the water to get behind it. So you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of pretty much also additionally pushing this grout to the grout joint, and in the same moment removing this very gently from this transition. So now I can nicely wash it off the remaining grout, and we will achieve really nice corners, because this is usually where the grout is missed, where the grout is left when the contractor is in a hurry to grout it. And you will not see this often till it's too late. Because later, once it's grouted, sometimes it's impossible or very hard to really remove such grout. So now I'm making sure my grout joint against our pencil piece is nice and even. Same situation with the bottom row. And later, once the grout will be dry tomorrow, because I'll be here tomorrow, we're gonna additionally seal everything with the sealer. But before we will seal it, we're gonna wipe off all the sand, all the grout residue, all the haze. Right. This is final checkpoint. And you can use, this is plastic wedge. I would use something plastic to ensure to not scratch tile, to not scratch surface. And now, final part, washing off everything nicely. And this is our accent. This is how nice it can look if done correctly, of course. Just trust me, the prettiest tiles, if not installed correctly, will turn to rubbish and will look bad. So like I said, having craftsmen putting pieces together is a must, and unfortunately in this trade what you paid is what you're gonna get 99% times. Not always, but 99% times. Because to do things right takes time. And no one is willing to work for free anymore. So this is how it looks like. All the corners nicely finished. There's no bulky grout left in the corners. This is usually like I said, the main thing that I don't like when contractor will leave grout in all the corners. Sometimes you have to take extra step, do extra thing to make things look right, and unfortunately it's hard to find such persons. Alright, let's move forward with the floor. Working on the floor, and I'm usually with the larger floors will grout this in 2 stages. So I will grout half of the floor first and then move forward with the remaining section, simply because I hate really to step on the grout that I just did. So I'm applying grout from this point over there, and then I will get here and I will grout this section, right? So this is how it looks. Same situation, nice clean joints all over, and this is always the goal. Alright, so all the tile work been finished, all the grout been finished, and as you can see everything blends really nice. The next step for me will be to apply sealer. Work with the sealer to protect stone, to protect the grout from discolorations, make it easy in maintenance. Those are main features of sealer. Also to make it a little bit more watertight, so the stone will not absorb water and moisture. But accent turns out really nice. As you can see, grout reached its desired color. Everything nice and dry. All details you can see in those niches. How nicely it turns out. Everything figured to the maximum with this nice edge trim. Our bench. And yes, so the next step will be to move forward with the sealer. We're gonna do it for the floor and for the wall, and this is it. I also got a trim for the drain already. You can get it in different colors. It doesn't have to be chrome or gold. In this case we have oil rub bronze fixtures, and this is also the color for the trim. and tab it's still to come. But one thing I want to let you know, mention, I've showed you pretty much quite a bit on this job, but if you need more specific informations, like I said, I have a video about shower bench, how to build such bench. I have a video how to build shower niche from scratch, similar to the one that you see right now, how to work on the accent, how to install the handheld with the diverter. We have diverter over there. So on my videos, on my channel, I have a video that shows you pretty much exact setup with the same type of fixtures, step by step, all the roughing, plumbing. Have a clip on drain installation, have a clip on shower curb installation. Those are very specific videos about those parts of the job where I'm focusing a lot and explaining everything in detail. Video about shower floor tile installation, about shower base. So pretty much everything is covered for you to build such bathroom yourself. And of course, video about floor tile from this very job. It's also there. Or if it's not yet, it will be soon. Because there's so much I can do with those videos. Hardly have time really to focus on it and work on those videos. It takes a lot of time and effort to put those together. So it still makes sense. But yeah, so check my channel. I'm gonna move forward with a sealer and I will tell you a little bit more about it in a few seconds.